Hello and welcome to another Big Orbit Cards unboxing video. I'm Chris and today I'll be unboxing Eldritch Moon intro packs, and this one is Weapons and Wards, the white-green intro pack. So as you can tell from the name, there's going to be lots of equipment and probably lots of enchantments as well. Let's try and get this open and probably just fill the entire box. Over here, so we've got our 60 card deck, and in here are two Eldritch Moon booster packs as well. So let's get opening. So you got your reference card, always useful for new and older players alike, just to keep next to you while you play, just so you can remember all the different phases if you need to. Our promo card with the alternate artwork is Ulvenwald Observer. So it's a 6 mana 6/6 for a tree folk, and whenever a creature you control with toughness 4 or greater dies, draw a card. So he replaces himself when he dies, unless he gets exiled, in which case tough. But still, not bad for 6 mana 6/6 that replaces himself when he dies. And considering you're playing green, you're going to probably have several other creatures with toughness 4 or more. So Emrakul's Evangel is a 3 mana 3/2 for a human horror. You can tap him and sacrifice him, and any number of other non-Eldrazi creatures to put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature token onto the battlefield for each creature sacrificed this way. So if you have a bunch of weenie creatures, or tokens, for instance, that aren't Eldrazi, you can sacrifice them and get a bunch of Eldrazi. So pretty interesting card. Crossroads Consecrator is probably slightly better than most people think. I think a lot of people wrote it off immediately. But 1 mana for a 1/2 human cleric, and you can pay 1 green and tap the Crossroads Consecrator, and target attacking human gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Overall it's not that bad actually, and especially you can sacrifice them later on to get a 3/2, and just in general not too bad. Thraben Standard Bearer, a 1 mana 1/1, and he has for a human soldier, and he has pay 2 and tap him to discard a card to put a 1/1 white human soldier creature token onto the battlefield. So you can generate creatures which you can then sacrifice or buff. So pretty good. Hamlet Captain, 2 mana 2/2, always good. Just 2 mana for decent stats. For a human warrior, and whenever he attacks or blocks other humans you control, get +1/+1 until end of turn. So very nice actually. You just buff your entire line by just having him attack. Sigardian Priest, 2 mana 1/2, pay 1 and tap it to tap a target non-human creature. Useful for locking down those pesky blockers. Steadfast Cathar, whenever he attacks he buffs himself for 2 mana. Ironclad Slayer, this is a really interesting one. So 3 mana 3/2, and when it enters the battlefield you may return a target aura or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. So considering this deck is all about equipment and enchantments, you'll be able to get all of those cards back if they've been returned to the graveyard by playing this card, so really useful. Militant Inquisitor, gets +1/+0 for each equipment you control, so again more equipment interaction. And it's essentially like a 3 mana 3/3 probably, because you're going to have something on the board at that stage, I would imagine. Intrepid Provisioner, so 4 mana 3/3 with trample, and when it enters the battlefield other target human you control it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So pretty good to just throw him in to get the extra bit of damage through, for instance. Courageous Outrider, 4 mana 3/4. Human Scout, and when it enters the battlefield look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a human card from among them and put it into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Pretty nice card, kind of, it's been compared to Collected Company but worse essentially, because again it fills a 4 mana slot, yeah, but still, it's pretty good. Fiend Binder, sorry, I spaced out there a little bit. 4 mana 3/2 for Human Soldier. When it attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. So they're really nice for locking down your opponent's blockers. Inspiring Captain, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. When it enters, for 4 mana 3/3. Subjugator Angel is a nice card to again lock down your opponent's blockers. So 6 mana 4/3 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, tap all creatures your opponent controls. Very nice for the final blow kind of thing. And I'll just drop that one over here. Then we've got our land base, so forests and then plains. And then onto the enchantments. And it doesn't seem like there's... Oh, there are instants and things. So Griff's Boon, 1 mana enchantment to enchant a creature to give it +1/+0 and flying. And you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to target creature. And you can activate that only when you can play a sorcery. Very, very nice 1 mana card, really. Strength of Arms, target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. If you control an equipment, put a 1/1 white human soldier onto the battlefield. Pretty good for 1. Cultist Staff is an interesting one from the new set. 2 mana and equip it for 3 mana. Equip creature gets +2/+2. So pretty basic, but still an interesting one. Kind of mostly because of the artwork. Open the Armory. So one of the Shadows cards. So 2 mana, search your library for an aura or equipment card, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Very useful for searching for that one piece of equipment that you need, which may be the Slayer's Cleaver. So 3 mana, equip it for 4, so it's quite expensive. Equip creature gets +3/+1 and must be blocked by an Eldrazi if able. Yeah, really interesting card actually. Just the fact that like +3/+1 is pretty good stats to buff something by. But the fact that an Eldrazi has to block you is pretty funny. Choking Restraints. So enchanted creature can't attack or block. It's a very, very useful card actually for locking down your opponent's big creatures. Plus you can also sacrifice it to exile that creature. For instance, if it has an ability, or maybe you just need Choking Restraints back and you have... I've forgotten what his name is, so I'm just going to search for him instead. The Ironclad Slayer. Maybe you have the Ironclad Slayer. And you want to Choking Restraint something else, so you can sacrifice it. Yeah. Hope Against Hope. So enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control, and if it's a human, it has first strike. So pretty nice for 3 mana. Most of your creatures are humans, so it's almost guaranteed to get first strike. And you're probably going to control a lot of creatures because you've got lots of tokens, so yeah, interesting. Iron Rights Cleansing, exile target artifact or enchantment. Normally you probably wouldn't mainboard a card like that, but still useful to have in this deck. Equestrian Skill, so enchanted creature gets +3/+3 for 4 mana. And as long as it's a human, it has trample, so pretty nice. Faith Unbroken. Enchant creature you control, and when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until Faith Unbroken leaves the battlefield. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. So for 4 mana, you're pretty much 2 for 1ing your opponent, because, or at least temporarily, because you're buffing your guy +2/+2, which could potentially kill off his creatures, or just push through the extra damage or whatever. And you're also getting rid of a creature they control while this is on the battlefield. And there isn't a huge amount of enchantment hate at the moment, so yeah, pretty useful card actually. So yeah, that's the deck. It's an interesting one. Lots of synergy. And we'll move on to the booster packs. So the idea behind the intro packs is you get your 60 card deck. and 2 boosters. So you play a couple of games with the 60 card deck, and then you open up your boosters and see if you've got anything in there that can help you kind of make your deck more consistent or just better. So we're looking for green and white cards specifically, for this deck at least. Doesn't matter if you get anything else though, because it's always good to just open cards. So Fiendbinder, when it attacks, tap a target creature defending player controls. Yep, useful one that I think was in there already. Kecak Prowler, so it's a 1 mana 2/1, and you can pay 5 to transform him into a Sinuous Predator, so it can't be blocked by more than one creature. So yeah, it's an interesting one because it's useful early game, and late game you can transform it. Maybe not too useful in this deck, because it's more about humans and the equipment and things. But still, Courageous Outrider could put another one of those in if you wanted to. If you need something else in the 4 mana slot, because there's quite a lot of early game stuff in this. If you wanted to make it a more mid-range deck, yeah, you could stick another one of those in. Clear Shot, very, very useful card actually. So 3 mana, target creature controls gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So yeah, buff your creature until the end of turn and deal some extra damage to another creature. So if you've been blocked and you don't have enough power to get through their toughness, like to kill off their creature, you can play that to deal the extra damage to that creature to kill it off. So, pretty nice. Or just deal a bunch of extra damage to the face, which is always good. Abundant Maw, one of the emerge cards, and Impetuous Devils is our rare, so it has Trample and Haste, 4 mana 6/1. Interesting stats. So when it attacks, up to 1 target creature defending player controls blocks this combat if able. And at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice it. So useful if you've got cards that interact with sacrifice, but you definitely wouldn't put it in this deck because you've got no red. But 4 mana to kill an opponent's creature while being vulnerable to your creature dying, so there's no guarantee that you can actually kill their creature. It's a lot to put into that card. But the whole sacrifice thing at the end of in the end step, there could be some useful interaction with that. Anyway, let's move on to the second pack. So at least we've pulled one decent card so far for this deck. Ooh, we have a nice foil at the back. It's a foil double-sided card. So Lab Brute, Field Creeper, Dragoon, Falconwrath Reaver. Dawn-Griff could be useful in this deck. So 3 mana 2/2 with flying. Yep, that's about it really. Grapple with the Past, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, then you may return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting one. Bold Impaler, Lunarch Mantle, 2 mana, enchant creature, gets +2/+2 and has pay 1, sacrifice a permanent, this creature gains flying until end of turn. Yeah, fair enough. Graph Rats, one of the interesting double-sided cards that turn into a double card with Meld. Fury Blade, a Vampire, Crop Sigil. So 1 green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put the top card of your library into your graveyard, and then if you have Delirium active, you can pay 3 to sacrifice it to return up to 1 target creature card and up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand. It's not bad. It activates Delirium by milling yourself, and then if there's stuff in there that you actually need, you can get it back. So overall pretty good. Morn Willow, interesting card. Actually quite like the artwork as well. Splendid Reclamation is our rare. So 4 mana sorcery, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Very nice card in certain decks, especially if you're going for Delirium specifically. It could potentially work in this, but you probably wouldn't want to throw it in. And then lastly, we've got the foil Grizzled Angler, which is a really nice double-sided card. So Grizzled Angler, 3 mana, 2/3, and tap him to put top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then if there's a colourless creature card in your graveyard, transform him into the Grizzly Anglerfish. Very nice in foil. So it's a 4/5, and you can pay 6 to make your opponent's creatures attack on their turn if able. So pretty nice. All right then. So that's the deck and the packs. So a pretty interesting deck, all about the equipment and the enchantments. Yeah, overall pretty nice. So remember, you can buy and sell the cards you've seen and the cards from the rest of the set, Eldritch Moon, on our website, bigorbitcards.co.uk. And please feel free to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you next time for another unboxing video.